Hello and welcome to the mill. I am your host, Dusty Crane, and this week I thought we would talk a little bit about what the next expansion for Tapestry could include, but also in the last couple of weeks I've got a lot of comments on, and a lot for me, right? So we're not talking about Rodney comments. A lot of comments on the fact that we haven't done a speculation video in a while, so I thought we do have a few entries on there that we would go ahead and take a stab at that. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So what we know about the upcoming Tapestry expansion is next to nothing, right? We know that it is still hopefully coming this year. You know, Stonemaier went ahead and padded the shipping dates, or the when they were planning on when it would be released. They had already accounted for the fact that shipping was going to be slow, but it may actually end up being slower. So we were originally going to maybe start hearing about it in November, but now that may shift to December. We'll just have to wait and see. In any case, we know what plans employees gave us. We got new individual landmarks that we could get. We got new tapestry cards. We got new civilization mats, that kind of stuff. We also got the introduction of scenarios, which I'll go ahead and mention because that was something that I kind of overlooked, but it was something that came up as a desire for the next expansion too. So something that I probably should look a little closer at soon here. But in any case, so because we know so little, this is also going to be just kind of a wish list kind of deal. And because I've tried to elaborate over and over, this is our channel, I'm going to go ahead and take a lot of this content right from the Tapestry Facebook page. I'm going to read a few comments here. I was just asking folks what they would like to see in the new expansion, and furthermore, kind of maybe just riff on what they offer up here. So one of the comments I had was, they don't expect a new map. I think that was one of the things that I said might be interesting. A new board with maybe some new tracks. Ben says, I don't expect a new map because I can't imagine what you could really change since the map is primarily explore tiles. Hoping for something that shakes up the game pretty significantly like Garfield Games does with their expansions. They somehow always manage to change a lot and make it so the expansion feels like it was always a part of the game. In that regard, I'm kind of curious. Now, I haven't played any Garfield expansions, so I couldn't tell you. I do have a few Garfield games, but West Kingdom, North Seas, that kind of thing, but I don't have any of the expansions, so I don't even know, what that looks like. But I am curious what you think that might look like. The only thing I can think of is right now, battle, and Jamie doesn't like battle, so this is very much kind of just how I'm looking at it. Maybe it's something like that mechanic is fleshed out. It's not just, hey, you were there first and then I got you and you don't have a trap card, so it's over. Like maybe they could flesh out combat as a possibility. Another thing that I think comes up, but was something that I had mentioned, probably on the page too, was the inclusion of, we already have a lot of tech cards, and I know for some people it bothers them tremendously that you would invent, space travel before you'd invent batteries or before you invented, glasses. So maybe the introduction of eras, we already have the eras, broken down by like Stone Age, and then the Tapestry, this is our second era, third era, that kind of deal. But something like maybe Seven Wonders, where there's a particular set of tech cards for this expansion that you could sort into and use in the regular game, but something where maybe it is a little bit more, these are Stone Age stuff in this era, and then this is, Bronze Age stuff, and et cetera, like maybe 3 or 4 different sets that, like, okay, after the first era, then you add in the second, add in the third, or even just, I don't know, we already had individual landmarks. Maybe there's some individual technology that could maybe more assimilate with the asymmetry, right? Where maybe if you have a civilization mat that has a lot of, space travel, maybe you have some kind of very highly technical tech card that's only available for you. I don't know how that would work balance-wise, but I mean, just an idea to throw out there. Daryl says, hoping that it'll be like Scythe, eventually having a campaign-like expansion that tells a story. Now, I know Jamie in the past has mentioned that the stories are kind of what come out of the gameplay. They emerge from the gameplay. And, maybe your civilization does make it to the stars before it invents staples or something like that, and that story kind of tells a little bit of a bonkers civilization story as we know it, right? I mean, we know how our civilization played out, but who knows how alien civilizations, maybe they went all tech, and didn't bother exploring, and they just have all this technology in this very small footprint. We don't know. Yeah, a story would be interesting. I do think in order to accommodate a story, the story would probably have to be kind of set up like those scenarios, where you say, okay, separate out these cards, and then this is going to be, part of your civilization story, something like that. Mandalorian, so probably not a real name, right? Says, I'm guessing a bunch of modules, including new tracks that are placed on top of the original ones, like the ones in Rise of Fenris. I guess I could have, that was a little bit of a spoiler for Rise of Fenris, but yeah, perhaps enough time has passed that we can at least talk about that one module. And it's a module, right? So it's not required. Do we see something like, I always said that the Rise of Fenris was a love letter to the fans and gave them the toolbox that they could tell any side story that they wanted, really. I mean, they could, if they like more combat, there's ways to make that happen. Less combat, there's ways to make that happen. Different parts of modularity that can, change up a game pretty significantly and may actually do kind of like what had come up as it relates to Garfield games, which was that the game just feels totally different, right? Or maybe not totally different, but familiar and different. We have that warm feeling for this game that we're buying expansions for, right? We like that game. We don't want it to change too radically, but it's nice to have the modularity to say, hey, if we did want more of this, we can add that in. So I do like Manda's I guess, wish list there. Ryan says, maybe a way to randomize the tracks a bit, change the rewards to shake things up. That would be a cool thing too, in my opinion. I do think that we'll probably end up alienating the folks who are already a little bit alienated by the fact that you can invent, higher tech stuff before, I guess tools or something. Now, this one I thought was interesting because it wasn't one that immediately came to mind, but I do agree it might be cool. Mark says, new capital city mats, not that you need much variety in them as they currently are, but I could see some shakeups. Now, I really kind of like that idea because, like, one of the games that I really enjoyed last year and still enjoy, but, like, I think it was last year, the year before title, was, by Thunderworks Games, and it was Cartographers. And they did an expansion for cartographers called Heroes, I believe it was. And one of the things it included was new tiles or new, maps or whatever that you fill out as cartographer. And there was new ones introduced that had new rules in terms of like how you could fill out, different areas. And so I could see how new capital city mats that maybe weren't just for placing, buildings on, whether it's landmarks or income buildings, like how that could change up Tapestry a little bit if there's a little bit more strategy on how you play. Maybe it's not just the 9x9, fill that in and then you get a resource. Maybe there's other things you could do with that, like maybe you fill in a 9x9 and now you can explore a tile, or something like that where some kind of reward is offered as a part of the mat. Now, obviously that's going to be another point that you need to balance due to the fact that the new mats would probably need to, not provide such a great amount of points that somebody that doesn't have those mats wouldn't have that ability. But I guess if you're doing modules, you could say, hey, these are the new mats. These are the old mats. You only play these mats with the new expansion, something like that. I think that would be cool. I like the idea of new capital city mats, even though, the ones we have are fine. I like the, the different, landscapes and stuff like that, or in this one, maybe desert or maybe cactuses are getting in your way. In this one, there's water. But yeah, I mean, we even saw Stonemaier did a little bit of that with Between Two Cities, the Capitals expansion, those mats, those landscape mats, like you had to build your city now around this. So even though there's a little bit of that in Tapestry, like that would be cool. Tech track overlays. So tech track overlays, I guess if you broke it into eras, you could maybe have a new tech board, and maybe there's something that goes over top of it to say, take an era 1 card, and then you get further, take an era 2 card, something like that. So that would be cool. Maybe a couple of civs that utilize new rules that may be in there. And Mark goes and talks about some of his favorite expansions. So I thought that was a very interesting points he made up. Someone says, I'll just wait. They don't want to speculate. They'll just wait. There's nothing wrong with that at all either. So Joss West says, love to see new modules, new boards, new scenarios, a campaign, more civilization. So more scenarios. Now, this was something that I mentioned earlier in that that's not something that I really look into in the Plans Employees expansion, but I want to go back and revisit it, because any time I get Tapestry at the table is always a good time for me. And I've mentioned it's my son's favorite. So I need to look closer at those scenarios, but I do I guess that would also be able to incorporate the new story that, someone else was asking for, that they wanted more story. So if you were going to do a campaign game, I mean, scenarios are where it's at, right? David says, that Jamie asked once about other achievement options. And so if I'm remembering correctly, it's one of those things where it's technically this thing has a name, right? And you don't always know what it is. So I don't remember if the achievements are actually what's on your actual player mat where you play your Tapestry cards and manage your resources. Putting something on top of those mats, all I can think of is some people would be upset because I bought some mats, that you put your player mat inside of it and it holds your resources real nice. So that would probably make that a little more difficult for some of those people, but I like the idea of that. I like the idea of there being new rewards. I don't know if what that looks like in terms of trying to imagine, maybe some of them are just outright points. Here's, you made it this point during your income phase, you get 10 victory points. Maybe there's something there that you could, if you had a different option there, maybe it's, you could get another resource, which, as later in the game, more resources, the better off you're going to be. You want to play more turns, that kind of thing. So it could possibly end up being worth more than 10 points, or if you weren't in a good place, maybe it doesn't help you at all. So there's that kind of push and pull. So I could see the desire for that, and I could see how that would shake things up too. So let's see here. Someone says, I find Tapestry cards are hit and miss. They'd hope that this was kind of the whole, this was from Andrew, and kind of the whole Seven Wonders things where he'd like it broken into the technology kind of expanding, and this is an era 1 tech deck, this is an era 2 or Tapestry deck, here's an era 2 Tapestry deck, etc. He's not sure how to make it make sense, but maybe the Dark Ages wouldn't come after space travel or something like that. So there's seems to be a lot of focus on fixing that one particular aspect of kind of the randomness of the technology. But personally, I think that's one of the things that's kind of funny. And we laugh about it too, right? We've had somebody get to space travel and then invent nails, and we're like, what have they been putting these spaceships together with, right? So yeah, I mean, I kind of talked about a little bit about what I would like to see in the Tapestry expansion, but hopefully we hear about that next month. If not, we'll be hearing about it probably in December. And that is, I think it's more likely, Jamie has always liked a more stuff expansion, because obviously if you like the game, you want more of that stuff. You typically don't buy expansions for a game you don't care for and hope that it fixes it. You know what I mean? So I could see more stuff. I could see more landmarks. I don't know whether or not you'd see more of the individual landmark. You'd almost have to see more of the individuals, right? Because we already have the buildings for that are on the track itself. So maybe some more landmarks you get from tech cards, maybe some more the individual rewards just to shake those up. I am curious whether or not we'll see a landmark that's taller than the skyscraper that we got in Plans Employees, because of the fact that it is the tiebreaker, right? So right now, the king of tiebreakers, I think, is, well, I don't know even though, because like one of the things you can get on the science track, that big kind of, it almost looks like the Space Needle, I think, in Seattle, but it's on the tech track. That one might actually be taller. So I guess I'm curious. Well, anyway, I'm curious whether or not we're going to get a building that is taller to be the new tiebreaker. I guess we'll see there. So now we're going to go ahead and branch off into speculation. And normally this would probably be its own episode, but like we're just going to go ahead and do it because why not? It's been a while. I don't think too much has changed. So let's go ahead and look at, we basically have what 2022 is going to look like for Stonemaier already laid out in that e-newsletter, right? We have Codename Sale. Did a video back in January where I said I was pretty confident that Codename Sale was a reprint of Libertalia, and Jamie has come forward and outright denied that it is Libertalia. He's not reprinting Libertalia, is what he said. Now, I know Jamie does not like to talk about stuff that they're working on, and does not... I don't think I've ever encountered him doing an outright lie. Like, I don't think he would ever been like, I'm not making Tapestry. I don't know what you're talking about. And then Tapestry gets released. I think Jamie likes to choose his words carefully. And so he's also went so far as to say, you'll understand the whole copyright of Libertalia or the trademarking of Libertalia once I have something to share. So that made me kind of think of, like we were talking about, okay, he's done with Scythe, but he might still do something in the world of 1920. So will we see like Libertalia Tales from the Gold Coast or something like that, where it's like a little bit, where it's like maybe he had a design for a pirate game and he's just like, oh man, it makes me happy. I can, like, maybe some of those roles are the same things, that were from the original Libertalia, of which I still haven't played. But something like that. Like, I wonder if maybe there was a little bit of overlap and so he went after the IP. So I don't know. There's still something about trademarking, the title that you're not reprinting. So like, I'm thinking like a different game in that universe. That just feels, I guess, the most logical. But again, it could be nothing tied to Codename Sale. And this is just, like I said, speculation. The next one we have for 2022 is the Viticulture expansion. And the Viticulture expansion, originally we heard that there was going to be 2 expansions being worked on, but since then it seems like it's been just one. So I think maybe those 2 got brought into one somehow, or maybe one didn't, the 2 designs didn't work out. I think with that, oh boy, what can we add to Viticulture, right? I mean, we've got the Tuscany expansion added so much. I'm going to go ahead and we already know it's Viticulture, right? So I'm going to go ahead and move on. I think that one looks, I'm excited because I like Viticulture. Wingspan expansion 3, we suspect that that Elizabeth has been playtesting that, and based on the bubbles filling in, I think that's a good sign. Codename Draw. This is the first one that is still slated for 2022, and one of which I really have no idea. The only thing I can imagine is, I know one of the mechanics that Jamie really likes is bag building, or drawing tiles or something from a bag, and so I could see a mechanic based around it. I originally thought Codename Draw, like I mentioned last week, I think was the expansion for Rolling Realms, or the little promo packs, but I don't think so. I think the fact that we know about it is probably a pretty good sign that it's not. So Codename Draw, I'm guessing it's something to do with bag building. Maybe you're playing it on a map or something. I'm not sure. And the rest, I Codename Cape. Around the time that was coming out, it seemed like there was a lot of superhero games coming out. And the fact that the shirt actually, the Stonemaier champion shirt, or the ambassador shirt, no, champion shirt, had a cape emblem on it, makes me still think that there's something superhero related. Like, I can't see it actually being something licensed, but I don't know, something superhero related I think is still good. Like maybe a card game. I know Jamie's mentioned time and again about trying to build a like a hand builder or something like that. Or hand builder? Were you building a hand of cards? So maybe something with that cape, like maybe a Stonemeyer version of Marvel Champions or some other superhero card game like legendary that you're playing cards. Codename Wild, I think that's his co-op open world, kind of inspired by Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think that's what it is. I think that's still the case there. If you follow Jamie on Kickstarter, you'll probably have noticed that he has backed a lot of open world exploration games with Earthborn Rangers and other titles that I'm drawing a blank on right now, but one of them is still out in Kickstarter right now, and there's actually, they kind of say it's similar to Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing in that there's not like a win condition. It's about the experience and the journey you go on playing this game. So maybe looking for a little inspiration for Codename Wild, or I'm just reaching. Next one, Codename Dive. For some reason, I am going submarine game. That seems the most reasonable there. I don't know what that looks like unless it's a press your luck game, like kind of like that Oink Games little submarine game. I think it's Deep Sea Adventure, where it's push your luck. You're sharing oxygen. Do you have enough oxygen to do what you have to do? Maybe something meatier than that, but for some reason I think submarine or diving for treasure or something like that. Codename Crow. So Wingspan was Codename Peregrine. I cannot imagine that this has anything to do with Wingspan, but it also seems interesting that it would be another bird game, because like Stonemaier really hasn't duplicated themes too much except for an expansions. So it would have to be like a crazy different game, right? Like Crow could also be like, I think of the movie Hook, Robin Williams and playing, just that movie, and he's Peter Pan, all grown up, and one of the things the Lost Boys do is Crow, right? A Rufio game. We need a Rufio game, do we? So Codename Crow, it could have something to do with like maybe a dark theme, like maybe something haunted, like Mysterium. Like crows are kind of like Halloween birds. Some people consider them messengers or bad luck, or that people, a lot of a lot of fantasy talks about like things being able to see through their eyes. So that could be like a scary haunty theme. That's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with like something not gameplay wise, but something that kind of like gives you the idea of like Mysterium, something that's something like that, I guess, where it really is relating more to the theme than gameplay. So yeah, what do you think? Am I totally off on any of these? Do you have a pretty good feeling what Cape or Dive or Crow look like? I still feel pretty good about Sail. I feel pretty good about Cape, but Dive and Crow and Draw, I'm really, really reaching for. So I'm going to go ahead and cut us off here now. Try and make a long episode just a little bit shorter. And quick question for you. One of the videos that I want to do as we continue looking at Tapestry is I want to do a Tapestry strategy video. The problem is I'm junk. So just I'm completely trash at Tapestry. Like I think I've broke 200 once, and I couldn't have told you what I did different. I think I just got lucky. Which is not particularly helpful for a strategy video, right? So if you wouldn't mind, if you have any strategies that you've employed to great success, please let me know. If there's something kind of like, I guess, high level that you could recommend. let me know. If there's somebody that you know of that is just terrific at Tapestry, and or you've seen a terrific video or read a terrific blog post somewhere, please let me know, because I want to check that out. I think it would be fun to do a strategy video for Tapestry. And I did cast the net and see if I could get some help on this from a well-known, or a player who I know to be very good at Tapestry. So we'll see what comes of that. Hopefully we'll have a video or something for you here soon. So that's something you can keep your eyes peeled for. But let me know if there's anything else you want to see. The request for the Codename Speculation was out there, so I thought that would be fun to do. And that is all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.